Hello, good evening. My name is Richard. This is Over and Over and Over Again, and it is, of course, time for the Arsenal Women's Weekly. Now, there may not have been an Arsenal Women's game in the last week, but that doesn't matter. We have still got a lot to talk about, and we're going to look ahead to the big game against Manchester United coming up on Wednesday evening. That is going to be a very, very important game, isn't it? So we're going to look ahead to that as well. We are going to look back on the Lionesses, of course, the defeat in the week to Australia. So we'll have a little look back on that. Also, we're going to discuss the number of fixtures and the pressure it's having on the players, because another Arsenal player, Lia Walti, is, of course, has needed a break away from the game during the season, which has happened before to other players. So there's an issue there that needs to be looked at. So we'll have a little discussion about that. Plus, one or two other things, as always, coming up the other side of this. So Arsenal now free to Marnham again inside there, looking for a second goal. Oh, she's got a second goal. That seals it. Free to Marnham again. Now, it is the Arsenal Women's Weekly, and we've got some familiar faces here. We've got Andreas, of course, as always, and we've got Matt. Now, also as well, wandering around outside the studio in the rain, we found somebody wandering around. It looked a bit lost, so we thought we'd invite him in so we can welcome to the show. Harry, how you doing, Harry, as well?
Hey!
Good to see you all. Good to see you all. It's been a long time, Harry, since we've had you on the show, so it is nice for you to finally grace us with your presence, and very nice presence it is as well.
Thank you. It's very kind.
So, I say we've got obviously no Arsenal match this week, of course, to look back on because it was international break, as we know. But there is a lot of exciting games coming up over the next few weeks, of course, as we know. One in particular that is very, very exciting, and it's one that we are really, really looking forward to. A massive game on Wednesday night, and it is a game that Arsenal need to win. Now, of course, we know how disappointing that defeat was at the Emirates earlier this season to Manchester United. We were 2-1 up with, 2 or 3 minutes to play. Somehow managed to lose the game. Incredible. But since then, I think a lot's changed at Arsenal. You can see the difference in the belief around the place. Winning the Continental Cup, I think, helped massively as well. And I think we now go into this game in a lot more positive mindset, I think. And I think we're ready for the challenge. You know, we showed that against Manchester City, coming from behind in a difficult game. And I think we're ready for this challenge. Not ideal, moving it back from the weekend because of the Champions League to midweek before. It's not ideal, but I think we're ready. And I'm really looking forward to this game. And it's going to really give us a real big indication as to whether or not we can still win the league title. Because if we lose, I think that's over. If we win, we're banging it again. And if it's a draw, well, we're still in it and it's going to be exciting. I mean, Andreas, it's a really, really important game, isn't it? I mean, Man United, top of the table, playing well. They've only lost twice, of course, both times to Chelsea, I think, wasn't it? They're only 2 defeats. So, you know, they're going to be a difficult side to beat, especially at home. But I'm feeling optimistic and confident, looking forward to it. What are you thinking ahead of this big game on Wednesday?
Yeah, as I said, it's a big game. And if we want to remain in the title race, then normally it's a must win. But are we in a better condition than in October when we played United at the Emirates? Yes, the team is in a better condition. There's more confidence, self-confidence. We learned a lot. I think Jonas has learned a lot and changed the tactics and is the way how he reacts from the bench, how he changes things during a match has changed, has improved. But of course, we have more injuries, more players missing than we had in October. I don't know what's happening this year. This injury crisis started very early and it never ends, as it seems. And not only injuries. Now Lia asked for time off, and we don't know whether she will be back. I don't think so. We will miss Kim. We will miss Caitlin. I think Steph won't be ready. Maybe she will be on the bench, but not ready to start. So it's a problem to find, not to find 11 players, but to find the tactics or to react if the match, if we don't start well or we don't grow into the match. But on the other side, I think the first half against United at the Emirates was one of the worst performances in this season. To be honest, we didn't deserve to be only 1-0 down, and the equalizer was just a lucky goal. And but then being 2-1 up, we must have won this match. And but I can remember that we were critical in our analysis against Jonas, against his management in this situation. But now, as I said, he learned a lot. He brings Jen Beattie earlier when it's needed in defense to have someone who is strong in the air. And what we saw in the last matches, the team is really a team. This fighting spirit, this one is fighting for the other, and with all the bad things that happen in a match, they never give up, and they believe in the match plan, in the tactics. So let's see. It's an open match. United is playing a very good season, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a draw there. Let's see.
I'm just having to plug my laptop in. I lost my charger for a minute. I do apologise for that. Right, back up and running again. No, I mean I agree. We are in a better frame mentally, I think, than we were when we played them before. But certainly in terms of injuries and the strength of the squad, we were probably stronger back then. So it's maybe give on one hand and take away on the other, maybe to how the game might go. But I still feel that we showed against Man City with players missing and going a goal behind, and we managed to come back and win a very difficult game. Yes, this is away from home, Man United at the top of the table, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I just feel as though there's a whole different feel about the whole club, the whole team at this moment in time. And I think, obviously, for a positive change as well, it feels a lot more belief everywhere. And I think we're going to go to Manchester United on Wednesday with belief that we can win the game. I'm convinced that's what the mindset will be. And I think that the players will go out there on the pitch and show that they believe they can win the game. Whether we do or not, we'll have to wait and see. But it's a shame we've got so many key injuries at this point in the season when everything's going to be decided. And wouldn't it be great to have had Caitlin Ford fit, to have Steph fit, to have Kim fit, to have Beth fit, Viv fit, you know what I mean? All those players, if we had all them players fit for this game, I think we would win without even having to think about it. It makes it 10 times more difficult, but I don't know. Matt, you must be excited about this game, obviously up your neck of the woods, Manchester United away. I know it's a midweek game, not ideal kind of time, but it's a massive game, isn't it? And a big opportunity for us to really say, you know what, we can win the title as well.
Yeah, just to touch on that first point, the fact that it is a 7:15 kickoff time, so it's already in a ridiculous time. It doesn't get a lot of fans that time to get there. Bearing in mind this is Manchester United, so this is basically in the middle of nowhere with no real access to transport at all. That's I would say within a decent amount. So the only way that you can get there is by car. Otherwise, you're basically taking a long journey, a train journey all the way to Wigan, and then basically having to come back down on yourself to get to the game, which is ridiculous in itself. Manchester United, you need to sort yourself out. On top of that as well, their fans are paying, if they're from Manchester, they go from Manchester Piccadilly all the way there. If you pay an extra £20, you can get a bus that takes you there and back to the games as well, which is ridiculous in itself. And so
Meadow Park on the other end is so handy for central London, isn't it?
The difference is that with Meadow Park is you've got accessibility. You've got the train station itself isn't that far away from the ground. It's only like I think it's a half an hour walk. I wouldn't know for certain.
That's a bit less than.
So we're talking up to, even then, if you don't want to do that, you can get a bus and then it doesn't take that long at all. So there are options, whereas with Manchester United at Lee Sports Village, there's limited options unless you have a car yourself and you're physically driving. The game itself, I'm looking forward to. I've seen Steph Catley is back in training. I've seen Kim Little in her training gear, so that looks like some good signs already, which would be good news. Obviously, Katie's got the yellow cards against City, which I still don't agree with because of that, the whole incident there, but that's a different topic. So it doesn't mean that we have to have Noel Moritz playing left back for this game. I'm looking forward to it though, because someone needs to knock Man United off their perch, and who better than a team that are full of confidence, as you both said, won the Conti Cup and just built from that. And just on that alone, there's other players in this team that have missed out on international call-ups that will be looking to prove themselves a little bit more. So should this in this game, they need to be called upon. They'll make sure that they're called upon, and I'm sure that they'll be all ready to show what they're made of. Andreas was quite right as well with the fact that he's learned the lesson of when to bring Jen Beattie on as well to see out games, and it shows how fluid we are. Let alone, I'm sure we're going to talk about the international that break as well with what happened with Lia, but I'm sure she'll be looking to make amends for that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you about Manchester United's ground. It isn't the most easily accessible stadium in the world, is it? Let's be honest, it isn't. I mean, I don't personally think Meadow Park is the easiest from London, certainly, but you know, we love it anyway. But no, I mean, it's not an ideal kickoff time. Trying to get to Manchester any time after 4 o'clock in the afternoon during the week is just impossible. The traffic is ridiculous. If you're driving, it's just ridiculous. And as Matt says, you can only really get there by driving. It's the easiest way, and the traffic at that time on an evening is just madness. But you know, it's what it is. The game had to be moved, Champions League, you know, and all that kind of stuff. We want games like this to be in the Champions League semi-final, and this is one of the downsides to it, I suppose. But you know, let's hope that despite all the circumstances, we can put in a good performance. I mean, Harry, obviously, these are the games that, you know, we want to see happening, don't we? We want to see the big teams playing each other. We want to be in the Champions League semi-final, and we have to suffer the fact that we're going to have games moved to midweek, and we're going to have to play these games in a short space of time. It's kind of it's great that we're in that position, but there is a downside to it as well, isn't there, unfortunately? And it's leading to injuries and God knows what else.
Yeah, well, I mean, this was the problem in the last because that's the match that Beth got injured.
It was, yeah.
So and yeah, remember that Manchester United have really improved massively since last year, and they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. I don't know, like I think the thing about the grounds being, you know, not easily accessible, it might work to our benefit if there's not that big of a crowd there. There's not that big of a home crowd. You know, if the atmosphere is not quite brilliant, it just means that we can play our football without, you know, the crowd being behind the home team. So I don't know. I'm just trying to find the positives that could be out there. It's definitely going to be a tough match. You know, there's no question about it. It's definitely going to be a tough match. We've got a lot of key people out. You know, we look back at the resilience of City and Katie McCabe doing her thing, but she's not there. Kim Holding, you know, being the glue to the team, she's not there. Wally potentially not being there. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Definitely be exciting. It's a battleground, definitely battleground.
Yeah, so, it is, yeah. And these are the games that we want to see, don't we? You know, the big games at the top of the table, fighting for league titles. You know, it's never easy, and it's not going to be easy, and the circumstances don't help us probably to some degree. But maybe you're right. Maybe it won't be such a bigger crowd as it would have been on a weekend. That might work in our favour. You're right. That's a good way to look at it as well. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But it's the sort of game that you can't help but be excited about, because it's so important, isn't it, for the overall season for both clubs. Whoever wins this game is going to be probably almost favourites to win the league, I think, because of how important the game is, and it's two teams battling between each other, and it's so important, isn't it? So whoever wins is going to be in such a strong position. And I just think that it's all to play for. It's just going to be fantastic. Terry's got a comment here. He says, "Welcome back, Harry. Only used to seeing you on TV now." Well, he's on TV now, isn't he? Just on this TV instead of the other TV that he tends to appear on quite a lot, which is good. We've got Michaela there says, "Arsenal for life." Indeed, that's what we want to see. NA says there, Katie is suspended. We're screwed. Yeah, she got the yellow card in the last game, so she's gone over the barrier that you need, and she's suspended, unfortunately. So there you go. Terry says, "Well said, Andrea. Super Jen is our secret weapon." Well, I don't know about a secret weapon, but we love her for what she does, and she could be an important player and come in and run into the season. Definitely in certain games, I think she will. NA says, "I'll take a win at United if it means losing at Wolfsburg. We can always turn it around at the Emirates." And Terry says, "No way, I want to win at United and Wolfsburg." Yeah, I mean it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, we saw what happened at Bayern Munich. If we lose by 1 goal in Wolfsburg, we can probably turn that around because we turned it around before. We'll have a chance. But I would like to see us not lose either game, if I'm totally honest. 2 draws will do me, if I'm completely honest. I don't think that'd be a disaster, would they? But the next game's United. I want to win, and if we win, then wow, we're level on points with them with a game in hand. Brilliant. What a position we'll be in. Don't worry about Chelsea. They've gone, so we won't worry about them. What we want to do quickly, and before we move away from the United game, we need a score prediction because this is what we want to do. Andreas, what is your score prediction for Man United on Wednesday? It is going to be an interesting one to predict, I think.
Yeah, it will be a draw, and I think we will see many goals. So I'd say 2-2. Yeah.
Okay.
It will be an exciting match, and it will cost a lot of nerves watching it. In the end, a draw, you don't know which team does it help more. Yeah, but I think for United, it's not so easy for them too, because for the first time they will feel pressure. They are playing a really fantastic season so far. They are in the semi-final of the FA Cup. They are in the title race. But now the season is coming closer to the decisive moments, and United will realize, oh, we have the chance to win maybe 2 titles. So they will have the pressure, and at home they will expect from themselves, we must beat Arsenal at home. We have won there away. Now we must beat them at home. So maybe this will be good for us too, that the pressure for the first time is on United. But the missing key players for us and missing squad depth is our problem. Therefore, I say 2-2.
Well, I don't think a draw is a disaster because it will still keep us 3 points behind the game in hand, so we can live with that certainly. And with the injuries that we've got, the players missing, I don't think a draw would be a total disaster at all. You've got to bear in mind as well. I mean, apart from that late winner against us, they haven't beaten any of the other 2 teams, have they? They lost twice to Chelsea, drew with Man City, so they don't have a great record in the big games against the better teams. So that gives me a lot of confidence as well going into this game. And you're right, they've got pressure on. They're at home. They're top of the league, and they are going to feel the pressure. There's no doubt about that. So that plays into our hands a little bit. Hopefully, I mean, Matt, are you going on Wednesday? I know it's up your neck.
Finding it difficult to actually get to the game itself. This is the problem with public transport is that even if I set off early enough, I don't even know if I'll be able to get there and back, which is itself going to be difficult. So. I'm probably not going to go to this one, to be honest, because it's just you have to have a lot of either way it's going to be expensive either way to get there and back, and it's just from personal point of view, it just doesn't seem really worth it because by the time you get there, you want to. Or by the time the game finishes, you want photos for the players and things like that, and you call a taxi. It could be well after midnight, and by that time, all the trains are finished. So there's no real point for me going, unfortunately. So unless something happens within the next couple of days where someone is able to help me out, but if not, then I'm sure someone else will take those tickets and enjoy themselves, because there's going to be quite a lot of Arsenal fans who have already said that they're going. It might be less than what they were expecting in the away allocation, but it's going to be something. And we know that the Arsenal crowd this season has changed a whole lot. It's not as cold as it used to be. It's lively and warm atmosphere, and I think that will probably help quite a lot, especially if it is chucking it down like it has been over here and windy. That might help us a little bit more out, because if Alessia Russo's in the box, though, that trying to get on the end of things, that those balls will not go through. It will be quite easy to defend against. If I had to predict to score line, I would probably say 2-1 Arsenal. I just have a feeling that this one, United, as you've already mentioned, United are at the top at the moment. Yeah, okay, they're playing Brighton, who aren't in a best of form, but they're in a semi-final, so they're going to give that everything. On top of that, they don't really have the experience to see this season out at the top of the table. I'm expecting them to slip up, and they still have City to play as well when we play Chelsea. So that's going to be another telling time. Should City beat United on that weekend, if we beat Chelsea as well and we beat United on that Wednesday, then potentially that's 3 huge points that you could be sitting on the top of the tree. So I'm hoping that Arsenal do win that game and it's a change of momentum. So fingers crossed, and hopefully if you are going to the game, best of luck to you, because it's a bit of a pain to get to. Let's call it that.
Yeah, it is a bit of a pain to get to. I mean, it's a shame the game was moved from the Sunday, because we were going to go, but we can't go because it's midweek now. I can't get the time off work, and it's just knackered out. But as I said before, I would rather we be in a semi-final with the Champions League and United gets moved to a midweek than have got knocked out of the Champions League and play them on the Sunday. So, I'm not going to complain too much. It's not ideal, but I would rather be in the situation that we are. But yeah, 2-1 going to be fantastic. I mean, that would be a brilliant result. Of course, as always, Terry is quite optimistic. He's gone, I've got a feeling we're going to stuff them 4-1. Well, I'm glad you've got that feeling, Terry, but I'm not quite as confident as that. But it would be nice to see 4 goals past Mary Earps would be nice, wouldn't it? Wayne's gone the same as Matt. He's gone for 2-1 to Arsenal. That would be good. NA says a Russo winner is the worst nightmare for all Arsenal. Well, it is this time after when we tried to buy her in January. So yeah, it was bad enough last time when she got the winner in the 94th minute, whatever it was. So yeah, another one would not be ideal, would it, if she does that? But anyway, let's hope not. I mean, Harry, what are you thinking then of this game? Can we win? Will we win? Are we going to win? Or is it going to be a case of what might have been?
So I think that, my prediction is that it's going to be a very, very tight game. Not that many goals. I think it's going to be batten down the hatches. I think our defence, when we're on, we're really on. When it's when we're on form defensively, you can't get a lot through. So I really think we're going to really tighten up, especially. I mean, you're going to talk about Lia later, but I think that there's going to be lessons learned, and it's going to be tough to break our defenses. When Manu's on form, she's saving everything. So I think we're going to be hard to score against. I think that Man United's, I'm not sure on the defense. I don't know if their defense is as good, but I think they're going to batten down the hatches as well. So I'm predicting a 1-0 win to Arsenal with a Frida goal in approximately the 50 to 55th minute. Just after half-time, I think it's going to be 0-0 at half-time. We're going to come out fighting. Frida's going to score like she did last time. And then we're going to tighten up and nothing's going to get through.
Just to let everyone know the goal difference between ourselves, they've only conceded 9. We've only conceded 10 this season in the league.
Yeah, they've been pretty solid at the back, to be fair. But then a lot of the goals they conceded have been in the big games, haven't they? We scored 2 against them. Chelsea scored a few against them. Man City scored against them. So, we'll see what happens there. But, I mean, that was a very accurate prediction, wasn't it? Actually given the time of the goal as well and the goal scorer. That's brilliant. That what a great prediction that is. If that turns out to be true, that will be absolutely incredible. We'll actually
I'm playing the lottery on that day. If that happens, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. What we'll do is we'll clip that and put it on the show on Wednesday night after the game. If it's 1-0 and Frida scores between the 50th and 55th minute.
It's not just picking out the sky though, because how often have we been like kind of not necessarily down, but either a 0-0 or something like that, half time, and everything changes at half time. We just come out fighting, and Frida scores at some point between 50 and 60 minutes.
She does a lot. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that is looking through the. I mean, I don't know the stats looking at it, but I'm pretty sure a lot of her goals have probably come in that period in the second half, because that does tend to happen quite a lot, doesn't it? So it wouldn't be a total surprise if that was the case, and it would be fantastic. I mean, if we was to win that game 1-0, I think that lesson have to be learned. Obviously, when we went away to Manchester City, that first half we were all over the place defensively, wasn't we? We were, we tried a different shape, it didn't work, and I think Lionesses has learned from that. And maybe it was a good lesson that we experienced that, because we're not going to do the same again. And I agree. I think we will be difficult to break down. We have been very solid defensively in the league all season. And I think we will be difficult to break down. And we have got a threat on the counter attack, and that might be how the game pans out. I think Man United, they're at home, they're going to want to take the game to us. They'll be expected to take the game to us. I think we'll defend well, and then we're going to look dangerous on the break. And hopefully we can find that goal. If it's Frida, if it's Stina, whoever it is, I don't really care who scores it, just as long as we can get the win. But I think a 1-0 would seem a pretty sensible prediction, because both teams haven't conceded many goals. And it's going to be a tight game between two very good sides. I do think we'll nick it. I'm maybe tempted for a 2-1 at like Matt scored. I just think that Man United probably will score. But I think we've got the capabilities in our team to get a couple of goals against them and win the game. And that will be fantastic. Terry says there, come on Arsenal fans, who can pick Matt up and drop him off after the game? Well, if anyone can, let us know and get in touch, because it'd be great that Matt can get there and back again. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Terry says Russo will want a new club Arsenal to win the league. Well, let's hope it is a new club, but we'll have to see, won't we? Terry says Stina will get 2 goals at least, and if Frida scores, that's 3-0. He says, well, that would be right if that was the case, but I'm not quite sure we'll win 3-0. But anyway. At least we're all pretty confident that we're not going to lose anyway, which is the main thing. And any positive result will be great as far as I'm concerned. If we win the game, it'll be amazing. So, I'm excited. I think we can win, and I'm really looking forward to the game. Actually, I say these are the big games that we really, really look forward to, and it is going to be great. But as we sort of mentioned a little bit, one of the downsides of being competitive in the league and going for Champions League and the cup competitions is there is a lot more stress and strain on the players. There's a lot of massive games now. The pressure is a lot higher than it maybe was for the top players a few years ago. And we're seeing once again one of our players, obviously it affects us as well, as needed a break away from the game. It's happened a little bit too often recently. Now, it's, we have wanted women's football to be given what it deserves, which is coverage everywhere, which is people to be wanting to watch it and all this kind of stuff, and more people interested in women's football. And that's what's happened quite quickly due to the Euros and stuff like that. But this has been building up for a little while. I think the number of games that they're playing, especially now with how competitive it is at the top level, how tough the games are. And you can see the stresses and strains. You can see the injuries now. So many key players, not just at Arsenal, across Europe, are getting serious injuries. And then you've got the other side of it as well, the kind of mental side of it as well. I say Lia Walti has had to, Viv Meadow did last year. And it seems to be becoming something now that's going to be happening more and more. And it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because we want to see these games. We want to see these big games, teams playing in all these competitions. We want Arsenal to be part of it all. But I think as well, sometimes we have to take a little step back, and what is best for the players? What is best for them? We all want to see the games and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because clearly there are issues, aren't there, with the health of the players, mental health of the players, the physical health of the players. It's a problem. It's becoming a bigger problem as the game grows. And I think that sometimes maybe we have to look at it and say, it's almost like, I think, whether it's the FA, whether it's FIFA, whether it's the TV companies, they almost expect the women players to be able to do exactly the same as what the men can do, play 3 games a week at the top level regularly, and it have the same kind of impact as it does on the men's players. And I don't think that's reasonable or fair, because women physically are not the same as men, and that needs to be taken into account with all of this. And I think that sometimes that's forgotten about. And we're seeing now, and I say fair play to Lia Walti. Yeah, as much as, you know, if she can't play Wednesday, you know, we'll miss her on the pitch. But I say well done for putting your own kind of health before your job, because too many people get wrapped up too much in their job, don't they? And when it's football, it's easy to do that. And I say fair play to her, and I hope that she benefits from this and she comes back stronger and better than before, and that she really needs it. So, you know, I'm not disappointed that she's doing this. It's we're going to miss her if she doesn't play, but if she needs that, then we should be supporting her and saying, you know what, that's what you need to do. But we need to look at the bigger picture, don't we? What can we do in women? What should women's football do? Not us personally, because, you know, we don't really have any impact. But what can women's football do to try to protect the players a little bit more? Because I think they're being pushed beyond their limits at times, and I think we're seeing the negative results now. I mean, Andreas, this is becoming a bigger problem now, isn't it? It's been a problem anyway, but it seems to be becoming a bigger problem. And as the game grows even more, my worry is it's going to become even more of a problem. And something needs to be done now before it gets to that point, because it's almost getting there now, isn't it?
Yeah, as you said, fair play and well done, Lia Walti, but also fair play and well done, Arsenal, that they accepted this and allowed her the time off without any discussion or making problems. So that's really well done, Arsenal. For the second time after we've asked for this in last autumn. Yeah, it's a problem of the growing of women's football, and I think in maybe 5 or 10 years we will have a situation when the league has not only 12 but 14 or 16 teams, and there's more European competitions and etc. So there will be weeks with matches Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday or so, but now the growing is too fast maybe, and it's 2 steps too much, or we are not doing one step after the other, or not we, but women's football not doing one step after the other, but 2 steps and another 2 steps in too short time, and this is too much, and this development, it's too fast for the players. It's new for everybody, for the players, and for body and mind of the players. The Euros, the Champions League qualification rounds, then the league break for international friendlies, Champions League group stage, league matches, FA Cup, Continental Cup, another international break, qualification for the World Cup. Now World Cup's coming up. If you hear this, it sounds crazy, and you say, you can't bear this. At least if you are new in this treadmill, and for the women's players, it's new. And also that WSL is much more competitive than it was 2 or 3 years ago. There were matches you went into the match and said, okay, will we win it 5-0, 8-0? It's no doubt that we will win. And now it's most of the games are competitive, and we say it will be a tough match, it will be a close match, and the opponents are very good. They have their strength. They are not playing international. They can concentrate on the league matches. So every match is competitive, and this is also a new development for the players. As I said, for body and mind of them, and maybe not only one club like Arsenal does it very good, but also the FA, the UEFA, the FIFA, they must have a look after the season and maybe make one step back. We are close to the World Cup. Then World Cup is very late. Players don't have much time after the World Cup. Then there's Champions League qualification again. The league starts, and for the countries who qualify for the Olympics next summer, Olympic Games, once again, no break during the summer. And then the Euros the year after. So it's too fast, and we must take at least one step back and look for the health of the players, the mental health. This is so important. Of course, we want the best players on the pitch. As I always say, I don't want them want to see rehab photos or hear that rehab is going very well and I will be back stronger. No, we want to see the best players from every team on the pitch. When we play Chelsea, United, City, or international Lyon, Barcelona, I want to see all the best players. even if it means that maybe we lose one or another game. But it's the women's football and the best players that you want to see. And this is not possible at the moment. That's a problem that must be solved by FA, UEFA, FIFA, DFB in Germany, all those who have to decide, and not bring in even more competitions with Nations League and Club World Cup. And so it's too much. We see it now, and yeah, as you said, well done, Lia, to say that whatever happened in her mental health or in her private life, she needs this break. Let's give her this break.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I mean, I totally agree, and that's right. But unfortunately, what happens is, you know, when individual players are having to decide these things for themselves, I need to have a break, and they're doing so. The top players in the top leagues, in the top clubs, then it creates bigger issues in the game, doesn't it? That need to be addressed, and they're not going to be. I mean, I've never known it. If you look at history of football, not just women's football, men's football, over the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, as they create more games, they don't take them away. They add more to it. They've never taken them away. They've never made less games. They've never reduced the number of, well, they reduced the number of teams in the first division. It used to be 22, now it's 20, but they generally don't reduce games, do they? Every season there's more games. There's a new competition here and there. And I can't see in the women's game them taking a step back and saying, let's spin off a couple of competitions. Let's have less international breaks. Let's do something. I can't see them doing it, because that they will look at that as being detrimental to the sport in general, because there's less games, less people are going to be involved, less people are going to want to watch it, and if there's less games, and I think that's going to be the problem as things get bigger and more popular. It's like TV, isn't it? There used to be 2 TV channels, and that was all you watched, and they used to finish at 12 o'clock at night, and now they don't have less channels, do they? They've got more. We don't need them. We don't need half of them. We don't need any of them, really. But, you know, now they're popping up. You've got 24-hour TV all the time. And things don't go backwards, do they? They grow bigger and bigger. They don't get smaller, even though it would be better if they did. And I think this is going to be the same problem with women's football. Unless all the top players come out as united as one and say, we are not going to play for 3 weeks because we need the break. And then maybe football will have to listen. That's what maybe they'll need to do. It's all very well one player doing it here and there. Viv doing it last year, got a bit of publicity. Yeah, fantastic. You know, Lia's doing it now. She's not quite as high profile, but good on her. But it's going to take more than one player here and there to do it. It's going to take en masse players to say, we are not prepared to keep doing this. We are not prepared to put our body and our mental health at risk for the sake of a few quid for TV channels or a few more quid through people watching the games in the grounds or whatever. I think they need to do it, and I think that's the only way it will change, because they're not going to listen to us. They're not going to listen to one individual player here and there saying it's a little bit too much. They're not going to worry about a couple of players being injured long term. They're going to think, no, we want the money. We want this to grow, and that's unfortunately going to take over. I mean, it's actually starting to really anger me now, what's been going on as it's growing, you know, even to the point where, I remember even last season, we were saying, we want more people to come to the games, right? Because Meadow Park had like 1,000 people at some of the games or less. And now I can't get a ticket because they're all sold out. It's like, okay. But anyway, you know, never mind. We want it to be more popular, but we do need to look out for the health of the players. I mean, Matt, what do you think? Do you think they're going to actually do anything about this? The FA, UEFA, FIFA, everybody that runs the game, Sky, are they going to actually look at the players, or do you think they're just going to keep trying to grow it bigger and bigger and bigger, rather than looking at what's right for the players that are competing week after week in the games?
I think, funny enough, I was seeing a tweet that Arsenal sent out today. Is actually 10 years since we last played Wolfsburg in the last semi-final.
Yeah, that's right. And 10 years today.
The attendance that day was just over 1,400.
400, yeah.
Which is it's small, but whereas now it's like we're now going to be selling over 100% of that. It's nearly 42. I think it's 42,000 at the Emirates. I don't think 10 years ago a lot of people would have thought, well, in 10 years' time, you two are going to play each other again, but it's going to be in both of your stadiums, your men's stadiums. I think that's probably part of
50,000 people. Yeah.
Is that the fact of the matter is that they're going from big stadium to small stadiums to big stadiums again, and that's causing a little bit of wear and tear. Obviously, a lot of we've had injuries left, right, and centre. Some of them have been at Meadow Park, some of them have been at the Emirates. Some of them have been hurted going off away to Leicester. It's small things like that where if you're not able to adjust to the size of the pitch, then it takes a toll, and that goes for anyone. It's not just a women's football thing, but there's other things as well that you look at as well. Just on that, the issue with the shorts as well, that we've seen the Lionesses now are going to be wearing the blue home shorts, and it's almost like a bluish grey for the away one. Then no more white shorts. That's fine, perfect. We don't know what's going to happen with the Arsenal one come the new home kit as well. That's probably again the mental health block as well. I'm sure, just on Lia itself, the fact that she took a ball to the face and it chipped her tooth from 2 feet in front of her, and she's had to come around and go, no, I need a break. It is huge, because it's not only does it means a lot to, obviously, I think since Jonas has been here, that he's had, if you want to have a mental a break or what, or a holiday, or in Kim's case, go on loan so that you can keep going on with your fitness, they've provided that, and they've been happy to do that. And it's small things like that that will be appreciated not only by the fans, but it's also the players themselves and the backroom staff. We all have our bad days, and the way things are going, it just looks really bad at the moment. It seems to be the development's growing and growing faster than the FA are putting the when funding. They put a strategic plan in place. So essentially, that strategic plan, I believe, ends the next year. So if that's the case, then they need to bring out a new one, and they're probably sitting around on the table. And the problem is these are usually white males in their 60s and 70s that have no idea who the demographic is for the women's game. These are the people that are excelling it. Whereas it's Sue Campbell that's supposed to be head of it. She might have the final say, but it doesn't feel like it. Feels like she's more of like she's just there at the moment. She's not really adding to it, if you know what I mean. Like, she'll be there for the cup final at Wembley. She'll be there. I believe she was actually at the final ESMA as well as the FA representative. But this is beside the point. The whole thing needs to be developed, and it needs to be developing together. Otherwise, we're going to end up. I can't believe the list is over 120 players that have had ACL injuries. That list is going to grow. I've seen now that there's a lower league player who's also an educator in college. She's had her ACL done at the weekend, and she's now having to fork $8,000 to sort out her surgery for it, because the NHS cannot afford. They're saying it's going to take about 9 months for her to have that. By that time, you're supposed to have done the rehab and everything. So there's so much that needs doing, and in short space of time, that nobody seems to know what direction it's going in. It's going to keep going forward. With the Nations League, the only difference is the qualification between Europe, our World Cups and European Championships are going to be there, as well as the Olympic ones. So this next one that we're going to have, if England, say, draw France, Germany, and Spain, the top two will qualify for the Olympics as well as the Euros. But Germany will already. Germany. No, not Germany. Switzerland would qualify for the Euros automatically as hosts.
Yeah. I mean, it has grown really, really quickly, and I think that maybe it's come as a bit of a surprise to everybody, and it's got to settle down. But I don't believe they're going to go back the other way at all. And you're right, all these international tournaments. I mean, I think maybe that the fact that COVID had an impact on the tournaments, didn't it? Because the Olympics was a year later, the Euros was a year later, so we didn't get those gaps in between that we would normally have got, which hasn't helped the situation. They should have maybe factored something in and scrap one of the tournaments. Not the Euros last year, obviously, because we won that, so we want to keep that one. But we could have maybe scrapped something to have given the breaks needed in between, and we haven't done because I think it's greedy. Personally, I think there's greed involved too much. But it is. I mean, Harry, I know obviously we love the games and we want to see as many games as we can, but there needs to be some sort of cut-off point, doesn't there? What's good for the actual players themselves and what isn't. I mean, your two daughters, when they get older, are probably going to want to play football, and it's got to be a worry for you, hasn't it, in the future, what it might be if this is going to be now. Imagine what it's going to be like. As Andrea said, there's going to be more teams in the league, there's going to be more games, there's going to be more pressure. Yeah, there'll be more money to be had, of course, but you've got a massive downside. I mean, what are your kind of thoughts on all of this that's going on at this moment in time with it all?
Yeah, so it's it's massively complex. So on one side, you've got huge growth, faster than anyone can really handle. And what I mean by anyone, I mean the FA, the WSL. It's just growing faster than anyone was expecting, perhaps. But growth is really good, and the women's game, the women's game being respected on par with every other sport is a wonderful thing and exactly how it should be. So big tick there. On the other side, you mentioned money, and money's always going to rule a lot of things and never to the benefit of anybody. So you've got Sky Sports who I'm very grateful for the opportunity they gave to Amelie, but on the flip side, they're changing the times of games to what suits them. A lot of the games are very late in the day. So as Matt said, it doesn't take into account the demographics of the people who come to watch the games. So, it means, it might be selfish, but I think it's resonant. I can't bring my kids to a lot of the games because they're too late. They're going to miss the Wolfsburg match because otherwise they'd be home at 9:00 at night. So that's a big X on that side. Then you've got the pressures of the players. Now this is really interesting to me because I think this is partly a true sign of empowerment, and partly a sign of the times. And I think that they're showing, like, there's people like Lia Walti or Viv who have said we need a break and we're taking a break. This is how work should be. This is how any one of us in full-time jobs, this is how it should be. When we need a break, we should be able to say, look, I'm feeling stressed out. I need a break. Your boss says, fine, take a couple of weeks off, go for it. And it shouldn't be frowned upon. It should be encouraged because you're going to get the best out of your people then. So put football aside, this is a cultural change that we're going through. And a lot more European countries are buying into this idea of being kinder to the people who work with you. So people like Lia, who are in places of influence, they're notable. They're well known. They're an example to us. And for Lia to say, this is what I need, and doing what she needs, and the fact that Jonas and Arsenal have said, yeah, fine, no problem, is hugely inspiring. It's something I massively welcome. The question that you had earlier, Rich, was how do we balance it? And the real answer is through investment. We need to have a big bench. We need to have a bench big enough to cope with those sorts of things. So actually you're more likely to say, well, I need a break, take a break. Don't worry, we've got somebody else to replace you. And that works really well. And then you've got the pressures of the actual game times. I don't know the solutions. This is I'm not the expert at this, but I perhaps think that the season needs to be longer. It needs to be maybe a month longer. So you're playing the same number of games over a slightly longer period. I think you could do away with things like the Continental Cup. It may be unnecessary. So, your Champions League and that's there. That's really good, important and really good. Some of the international friendlies maybe are unnecessary, and that comes down to the money side of it. And then you've got the whole thing about the injuries, and that is massively understudied. So, I've actually spoken to a lot of people about ACL injuries, the epidemic of ACL injuries in the women's sport, not just football, throughout women's sports. And it's got to do with that, shoes are designed for men, the clothing's designed for men, the footballs are designed for men. It's everything is designed. It's the research isn't there, and until they do something about the research, you're going to continue to get injuries, which is, I think they need to look at that side of it. Steps with the coloured shorts is important, but it's a start. But that's my long, complicated assessment.
But you see, that's exactly the reason why we like you on the show, Harry, because you think things through and you come up with fantastic points, and it's difficult to disagree with any of that. I kind of like, what you said about, in the workplace in general, that, if we feel that we're stressed and we need a break, we should be able to do that. And I kind of totally agree with that. But unfortunately, most businesses aren't in a position to pay someone for 2 weeks while they sit about trying to recover from some stress that they might or might not have. And it's as much as I would welcome that change, I just can never see it happening, especially not in this country, because we don't.
I don't want to have a massive thing about this. I would just simply argue that businesses can't afford not to pay somebody 2 weeks to have a break, because what they lose in their productivity is, you take Lia, right? Let's say they turn around and say, "Nah, you're not taking time off." Well, we're going to end up losing games because she's not on form. We're going to end up dropping points. Team morale goes down. It affects absolutely everything. They turn around and go, "Look, do what you need to do." The team appreciates it. She appreciates it. She comes back firing on all pistons. I mean, Viv came back and she was on fire until she'd done her ACL. So it works. We can't afford not to.
I agree, and you should be Prime Minister and bring this in for the whole country, everybody. I'd vote for you tomorrow. I won't vote for anybody else. I've got to be honest. If you were standing, I would vote for you if that was one of your big policies.
I'm signing up.
Yeah, great. It makes perfect sense. It does when you look at it in the real world. In reality, it makes sense, but unfortunately, that's not the way it's going to go, I'm afraid. But certainly in women's football, there's certainly an argument to be had that the players need to say enough is enough and we need a break. And it's good that individual players are doing that, and it's benefiting them. As you said, Viv was brilliant when she came back from her break, and I'm sure Lia will be the same when she's back. I'm sure she'll be absolutely bang on the game and she'll be brilliant again. So but yeah, it is a double-edged sword, really, isn't it? Because you're right, growth is good. There's no doubt about that. And women's football deserves to be at the level that it's going to get to. But getting there is going to be a difficult journey for a lot of people involved. I'm afraid that's going to be what's going to happen, isn't it? There's going to be players that are going to get burnt out, going to get serious injuries and may not be able to play again on the back of it all. And that's going to be one of the fallouts of it all. But yeah, growth is good. I'm not sure whether the speed of the growth is sustainable at that level. Again, it's not going to be. It's going to slow down inevitably anyway. I suppose the growth level will slow down. I think the Euros has been the driving force. I think there's no doubt about that. That has raised the interest. It's gone beyond what any of us could have expected it to have done on the back of that Euros. Winning it was fantastic, and I think that. It does seem to be more in this country. I mean, obviously, Andreas, you watch a lot of women's football in Germany, and the crowds are nowhere near the same, are they? So I do think it is a Euros impact in this country what's brought the crowds in, certainly, and the interest in. But, the number of games is an issue everywhere in Europe, isn't it, throughout the world? So that is something that does need to be looked at. Not just the game's growing audience, which is not a problem. It's not the audience growth that's the problem, is it? It's the growth of the standards raised, the number of games is increasing, the quality, so that the games are more physically demanding, and these are things that and you're right, Harry, that the stuff is designed for men. All the football gears are designed for men, aren't they? Everything is. And they should have done that first. They should have put that in place first before they started thinking about growing the game. And they haven't. They've done it the wrong way around. And it's causing problems, which, yeah. but you know, it is what it is now, and they've got to do something, whatever it is, whether it is the design of the equipment, whether it's spacing the games out more, whether it's bigger squads is probably an answer, but they cost money, and that's not always going to be possible for everybody. But yeah, there's lots of things that need to be looked at. Will any of this ever come into play? We'll have to wait and see. Let's hope something's done, because I think the players' health, and as Andreas said before, we want to be seeing the best players playing in the games. It's no good, is it, having the best teams playing each other and half the players are not playing because they're injured, because they played too many games. It's just not going to be. It's almost makes the whole thing pointless. So we've got to have the best players available as often as possible, and the way to do that is, international friendlies should be scrapped. Most of them should be scrapped. I agree. We need to look at the competitions. We need to look at. They've just brought in obviously a group stage for the Champions League in the last couple of years, which wasn't there for a while. So more games there, which is great. But again, it's about money. It's not about football. But anyway, Herman says there, I get cut off. What's the reason? I don't know. There's no reason why you should be cut off, my friend. I don't know. He says, I'll just listen to what. No, try and make comments if you can. I don't know why they're cutting you off. You shouldn't be. There's no reason you should be cut off. I don't know. Unless they're too long, the comments. That's the only thing I can think of. But it's good to see you again. I hope you're well. Herman is probably our oldest viewer, actually. We've decided. He's probably our oldest viewer. So it's good to have Herman back with us, as always. So, yeah. It's great that the game's growing, I agree, and it's great that it's getting more interest that it deserves, but there are downsides, and unfortunately those downsides at this moment in time seem to be overtaking things a little bit, don't they? I think there's a lot of focus on them, but obviously we wish Lia Walti the best, and we look forward to seeing her back. If it's Wednesday and she's available Wednesday and plays, brilliant. If not, and she doesn't come back till the semi-final, then fine. We'll welcome her back, and hopefully she'll have the break that she needs. And other players should do the same, and everybody should do the same. So if you're feeling stressed at work, Harry said it's all right to take 2 weeks off. So Harry's agreed it, so it's fine. Okay. So if you're feeling stressed, just
and I must say, I do this in my own company. I do this. If one of my staff say they need time, I don't care. Just go for it.
Have you got any jobs going?
I might do.
I think you're being inundated with applications.
We don't actually know why Leah's taking time off. We just said it hurt us for personal reasons. It could be to fix the tooth, or it could be for anything. So we're kind of making assumptions there, but
no. But even so, she's taking time off, whatever reason. It's still a valid reason, obviously. Whatever the reason is, she's needed it. And I think, whatever those reasons are, she's not going to necessarily come out and say, and that's fine. But we've all got our own reasons why sometimes we feel we can't cope with our life or with our job. And we have to carry on. And I don't want it to get to that point when it's, these are athletes and they need to be looked after in a different way to maybe, we do. As much as I would love to be able to just take time off when I felt a bit stressed and still get paid and everything be fine. I think when it's athletes, they do need to be treated slightly differently, because their body and their mental health is even more important to their job, isn't it? Because that's what, if they're not able to function physically, they're not going to be able to do their job, are they? So, but yeah, something needs to happen. Let's see, but let's hope that Lia is getting whatever she's took the break for, and she's getting what she needs, and she'll be back and very soon and playing again for us, because she is such a great player, and that's what we look forward to seeing again. So yeah, but the game needs to, the people running the game need to just take a step back and look at what's going on, look at how quickly it's growing, and what can they put in place to protect the players and to protect the sport in general. Because it's not always about more and more and more, is it? That's not always the answer to everything. Sometimes you'd have to look at things in a different way, and I don't think that's going to happen, if I'm honest. But anyway, let's hope that something changes. Maybe less games will be a start, less pointless games, friendlies and qualifiers and all that kind of rubbish. Let's not bother with all that. Let's just concentrate on the important things that do matter. Sometimes we've had spells, haven't we, where we haven't had a game for 3 weeks, and then suddenly we'll play 2 games within 4 days, and it's like, makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. But anyway, that's something they do need to look at. I mean, obviously, there hasn't been a lot going on with Arsenal this last week or so, generally, because there's been no game. We've looked at Man United. obviously the semi-finals next weekend, so we'll do that on the show next Friday, of course. We'll look at the Man United game and look ahead to the first leg of Wolfsburg, which is going to be so exciting. What a big week it is coming up for Arsenal. But there was a game in midweek which maybe some of us felt a little bit mixed about. It was called the Lionesses lost for the first time under Sarina, the first time after 30 games without losing. Incredible, and a very tame. It came to an end rather tamely, didn't it, on Tuesday night against Australia? I have to say, I want to give massive credit to Lia Williamson for coming out after that game and giving that interview that she gave on the telly, when it would have been easy to have shied away from it after the mistake that she made. To come out, she held her hands up, she was honest, and I really loved that. That was, to me, that's the mark of a true leader, and that's a mark of someone that you can really respect and look up to. You know, she was prepared to come and do that, and fair play to her. It was a horrendous mistake, we know that, but how many times in her career has she made mistakes like that? Hardly ever. She hardly ever makes a mistake. So, you know, she was due one. And if I'm honest, I'm glad it happened for England in a friendly, as opposed to for Arsenal against Man United or against Wolfsburg, or certainly for England in a tournament. So if it's going to happen anytime, let it happen then at the end of the day. But I don't know. I didn't quite go along with a lot of people's feelings about, oh, this could be a blessing in disguise. I think losing a game is never a good thing for anybody. Your momentum is important in football, and you need to be able to keep getting results. And yes, everyone loses games, but I don't know. I was very disappointed with the way we lost that game, because we just seemed to I don't know, give up almost, as though we was never going to score, so we was going to lose. And I don't know. Sarina's normally very active from the bench. I know we didn't maybe have such a strong bench in this game, and we had to, obviously Lauren Hemp had to go off quite early, but I don't know. I just felt as though everybody just seemed to be, once Sam Kerr had scored that goal, I think it seemed as though there seemed to be a resignation around that we were going to lose. And maybe, is that such a bad thing? Well, I personally thought it was, because I think, you know, unbeaten runs are great. You know, 49 would have been, get to 50, then that might be different. You know, 30 games is no good, is it? You know, that's no good. But no, I mean, Andreas, obviously, did you watch that game, or were you watching? Because Germany played the same night, didn't they?
I saw it in a rewatch then, not live. But yeah, it had to happen. You can't win every game forever. So if we start to a new series and win the next 30 games, this would be fantastic. But yeah, as I said, it had to happen, and it was a match. Sometimes this happens. Lia had a very bad day at the office. Yeah, to say this, it was one of her weaker performances. But this happens, and of course, I knew the result when I saw the replay. But when Australia got the goal, the lead from Sam Kerr, it was that everybody thought, oh well, now Australia will win.
Yeah.
In so many matches in the Euros and friendlies after this, you always had the feeling, even if the opposition team scores, the Lionesses will come back. But this time, I don't think that there was the power to come back. But you have to see the situation. We were missing Millie Bright and Alex Greenwood in defense, so the defense was in a formation that had never played together. And I don't think it was the best idea to try Esme Morgan together with Lia, because they never played together, maybe in training, but not in a really competitive match. So why not giving Lotta a chance? But I don't know why Lotta is rated so low by for Sarina. She never gets a chance. But well, and then another problem is in such a match, when things don't work as you wanted, is the midfield. We are lacking an experienced midfielder like Fran Kirby. We have there's Kira, Georgia, and Ella, and they are all still young players. Of course, they are European champions and they played international, but they are all between 23, 24. And in such a match, in such a situation, you would need an experienced player, 28, 30 years old, which has seen a lot more and knows how to react in such a situation. So I think this was also a problem, that our midfield was not able to turn things around, and maybe it would have been different with Frank Kirby. And then in the attacking line, losing Lauren Hemp after 25 minutes, this is also a massive blow for a team like England. And on the other wing, there's Lauren James. I think she's a very talented player, and but it's her first season on this top level. Of course, she played United, but then last season she was most of the times unused sub for Chelsea, and now it's her first season on this level, on club football and international football. So she has to learn a lot. Her dribblings are good, but very often she doesn't see the other player when she could play a pass. She tries by herself, and she has to learn to defend. So there was a lot of pressure on Lucy Bronze on the right side. And on the left side, I asked myself, don't we have any better left back than Jess Carter? Because she didn't convince me in both matches. There were a lot of problems with injuries, and for the first time I thought Sarina didn't react as it should have been. She brought the subs too late. Why not bringing Rachel Daly at halftime and trying something new, or Chloe Kelly very early? Because it couldn't have been worse than losing against Australia, but trying something, and she stuck too long with the starting 11. But well, if Sarina has not our credits, well, who else should have? So let's forget this match, learn from it, but start a new series, and then in 2 or 3 months we'll say, okay, this Australia match, let's forget it. What's good that we lost, and now things are going better. We learn from it.
Yeah, I mean, I always look at it. Every defeat isn't a loss if you learn lessons from it in life, not just in football and sport. But yeah, and if you look at it like that, then yeah, I'm sure that Sarina would have learned a lot about certain players and certain things in that game, and if that benefits us in the long term, then yeah, maybe we'll accept that and fight. But you're right, we're gonna lose eventually. No team goes unbeaten forever, do they? Not even the great Arsenal women's teams from years ago. They eventually lost the game, didn't they? So everybody does eventually, I suppose. But it was rather tame the way we lost. So I'd have maybe liked us to have gone out with a little bit more fight about us, maybe. We just kind of resigned ourselves to defeat quite early in that game, I felt. And maybe Sarina wanted to lose. Maybe she wanted a defeat out of the way before the World Cup. I don't know. It did seem a little bit... It wasn't the England side that we've been used to seeing, is it? Because when we've faced adversity previously, we've upped the game and got a result and found a way to do it. And we didn't look as though we even had that about us the other night. And yeah, Terry says, I think England's lost down to too much football. We look lethargic. We did look lethargic. We did, but you know, everybody's played a lot of football. Sam Kerr's played a lot of football. She didn't look that lethargic, did she? So you know, it's one of those things, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, some of the players didn't, and I must admit, I was baffled that she played Esme Morgan ahead of Lotte Ruben-Moy. Lotte Ruben-Moy, one, is a natural centre back. 2, she plays with Leah Williamson every single day at the club level, so they know each other's game. They've played as a partnership at the back for Arsenal lots and lots of times. And it was a baffling decision. It made no sense, absolutely. And I'm not going to question Sarina very much because she's done everything. She's got everything right when it's mattered. But that was a crazy... And the fact that she kept her on as well, the whole game, didn't even bring Lotte on. It's like, surely at some point you must have realised that Esme Morgan was not actually doing particularly well. Yes, Leah had a terrible game. We know that, made mistakes. But Esme Morgan wasn't exactly helping her out, was she? Let's be honest. You know, she was under more pressure, Leah, because Esme Morgan was not the right player to be playing alongside her, and Sarina should have sorted that out. But anyway, hopefully it's a lesson learned, and maybe Lotte will get more minutes in future games, in future squads, perhaps. Who knows? But I don't understand what she's done wrong, to be honest. She's played for Arsenal, come on in difficult games, played well, and I can't understand why she's not playing more for England. Sarina can pretty much do no wrong, so we'll let her off at the moment, but she needs to She needs to start giving a lot more time, I think. She deserves it. I mean, Matt, the England game the other night, very, very disappointing, wasn't it? A very tame way to lose an unbeaten record. I expected a bit more fight from us in that second half, at least. But we just didn't have any, did we? Didn't have anything left.
No, I think you've all seen me make a couple of faces. It's not because of Andres. The under 21s are playing at the moment, and they went from 2-1 down in a space of a minute. It went to 3-3. So there was a bit of a. So
Wow.
if anyone was wondering what that was about, yeah, I think the problem is that I think a lot of us were thinking that one of these games was going to end up in a loss. Was it going to be against Brazil or was it going to be against Australia? The way Brazil came out in that first half against us, they didn't really threaten. They didn't see that was very un-Brazilian, and then they switched to a 4-4-2, which is very un-Brazilian in itself. And they just played us off the park, and they should have won the game, if I'm honest. And then Australia again playing 4-4-2, and they outdo everyone, which seems a bit odd because usually the whole point of a 4-4-2 is that it's an English formation, and it's not very fluid compared to the 4-3-1, the 4-2-3-1, or the 4-3-3 that Sarina usually plays. So it's very bizarre that the undoing is the 4-4-2. It's almost like they don't understand how to deal with that. So I actually asked Sophia Lawrence, who's a fantastic journalist, and I asked her what would her take be on this, and she said she would have put Rachel Daly up top. She would have probably switched to a 4-2-3-1 formation, and she would have put Lia Williamson into the midfield, which you're probably looking at someone else coming in. I think one of the problems also as well was that Alex Greenwood was out, so that meant no one was playing in. Although I don't understand why Alex Greenwood is playing as a centre-back because of her height. I don't want to keep going on about these the heights and things like that, but when you have someone like a Millie Bright and Lia Williamson, they're very tall players. They're nearly 6 foot compared to, say, myself. I'm 5'5.5", and if I was a centre half with an Andreas, it just doesn't make sense because Andreas is over 6 foot.
Well, Andreas would win all the headers, and you just sweep up behind, wouldn't you? So that's how that would work.
Essentially, yes, but it just wouldn't, realistically, on corners and things like that, it wouldn't work. So, with Esme Morgan, I did have a quick look, and it does seem like she is a right back, not a centre back. Although perhaps she can play there, so it did make a bit of a bizarre kind of, when you do see that, it was like, why is she playing? Why is not Lotta playing? Yeah. And then you had the midfield as well, where you thought, okay, this is a chance that perhaps Jordan would be given a chance. And usually, especially in the Euros, you had like a Jill Scott who would come on, she would see the game out. And you thought, why haven't you brought Jordan on, or at the very least, brought someone else on into the midfield to change the game and alter it? And it was a very un-England performance under Sarina, which it just seemed very bizarre. I think the only change she made was Rachel Daly coming up, and it was almost like we were playing 4-4-2. And I don't think that's the way we're going to play. Obviously, some of the injuries didn't help. Lauren Helm coming off. I think that was a delayed concussion, if I'm honest, with her Batgirl mask on. A bit of a shame, though, because as much as I like Lauren Helm, it was just a bit of a shame that she couldn't carry on in the end. But it's important that we protect our players at the end of it. So hopefully she's going to have a rest. I hope she's not playing for Man City. If they're playing this weekend, I'm not sure if they are or not. But at the end of the day, Lauren James has not been on, as Andreas has said about Lauren James, she's developing, but she has this skill and asset to run and dribble through players and then take those shots. We've seen it at the Emirates where she's gone and hit it over wide, especially at Selhurst Park as well in the final. She did it again. But when it comes to teams like a Tottenham, where she can just literally run through the entire team and go and score a wonder goal. But she's every time I saw her in the Brazil game, she was running into people. Okay, yes, she was vital in the part of coming inside so Lucy Bronze could come on the overlap to make that cross. But she's still very raw and she's still causing issues. And if you compare that to someone else that I would probably have on that right hand side at the moment, I would probably perhaps have Chloe Kelly on that right hand side because she's more understands. She knows her role within the team. It's a case of who. There's plenty of spots that are available in that squad at the moment. If you think about it, if there's no Millie Bright, who's going to be the Millie Bright of the team? Should Millie Bright not go to the World Cup? If Alex Greenwood's not there, who's going to be playing on left back? Jess Carter did not look as good as everyone seems to think. And again, I've looked at the stats. The stats are she doesn't stack well in the stats unless it's progressive passing. So it's one of those where I don't think a lot of the time there are players that were short on supply, especially in the left back, but in other areas we are doing better in. So I think with Esme Morgan playing centre back, I don't think it was a good idea. If I'm honest, I think we all remember the men's team of Arsenal had a back five. That back five could have quite easily played for England and Arsenal at the same time. This was years ago, but it was almost like if you've got two people that know each other inside out, then they would be able to change and develop. I think they would probably done a better job with Sam Kerr than Esme Morgan and Lia did. I'm not going to hold Lia accountable for the goal because essentially it's a three-way tie. Esme Morgan's gone to tell her that she's open, but I don't think she's communicated that very well. Mary Earps was very slow to get off her line as well to try and clear that. To try and get to the ball, and she knows that Sam Kerr is going to go and chip her. And what she do, she doesn't come up quick enough after trying to get the ball off her, and she gets chipped. The second goal, I think that was just again. I'm not going to hold Lia accountable, although she will feel accountable because it did deflect off her. But at least she was in the right place at the right moment. But on another day, that could have quite easily just gone the other side of the post. And deflected for a corner. So these are all lessons learned, but at the same time, it was bound to happen because you could feel it from the Brazil game, that last 45 minutes. And I think Lia's going to be really up for this game against Man United, if I'm honest.
Let's hope so. Let's just hope. I mean, I love Lia Williamson, right? As far as I'm concerned, she can do no wrong. But I think it was her mistake for that goal. She should have dealt with that. I think somebody put a comment here I saw before. NA said that Kerr owns Lia. I wouldn't quite go that far to say that, but I do think that ball came through. She saw it was Sam Kerr there, and rather than doing what she would normally do, which would either be sort of get the ball under control and sort of get it out of defence or just boot it out of the pitch. She saw it with Sam Kerr and maybe she overthought it too much and in the end got caught in two minds. It was a poor header and I think she was 100% to blame for that goal. Yes, there could have been better cover. I thought she was offside, Sam Kerr, anyway, but yeah, I mean, it was her fault, and you know we'll forgive her because it didn't matter as much as it would matter in other games, so we'll let her off. But hopefully, next time she faces Sam Kerr in a few weeks' time in the big league game, she'll show that Sam Kerr doesn't own her at all, that she can own Sam Kerr in a game.
Lia usually does pocket Sam Kerr quite well in those games, though. It's usually
she does. The thing I've noticed is whenever we come up against Chelsea, Lia will play really well against Sam Kerr for 89 minutes, but in that 1 minute, Sam Kerr will always score a goal. Always. She did it at the Emirates. She's done it nearly every single game. And against Sam Kerr, you've got to be on your game for 95 minutes. Well, you give her a second and she'll do something, unfortunately. But you know, it was one of those games, and I'm glad it was that game, I suppose, as opposed to something more important. But And he says there, a lot of it is good, but she can lapse in concentration. I think she's improved that, actually. I would have said a year or so ago, I would 100% agree with you. I thought her concentration was poor at times. But I think she's really worked on that. And I've noticed, certainly this season, when she's come in difficult games sometimes, she's played, I think most of the time her concentration has been good. And she's definitely improved that. And, that's all she can do. She can just work on her weaknesses. And that's what I think she's done. And yes, occasionally she still has one or two mad moments. So one... Was it the Man City game? I think there was one moment, I think the ball was played through and she sort of lost her marbles a little bit and kicked it out for a corner when she should have done anything else with it. So she still has one or two moments, but I do think she's improved that, actually. And I'm sure as time goes on, that will get less and less. And, we won't even be talking about that. But yeah, it was a problem. In terms of Lauren James, actually, I thought the other night she was the only one that was prepared to take people on, run at defenders. She was the only one in that England, maybe Lauren Hemp before she went off, but after Lauren Hemp had gone off, Lauren James was the only one that was prepared to actually take a chance, run at defenders. And she does that a lot. Yes, her final ball needs to be worked on. She makes the wrong decisions too often in the penalty area. She does. There's no doubt about that. But for me, I'm not her biggest fan. I've got to be honest. When she plays for Chelsea, I don't like her at all. But I thought she's one player that's actually prepared to take chances and run at defenders and cause problems. And I thought she did that in that Australia game more than anybody else did. And she was one of our biggest hopes of getting a goal in that game. I thought at least she was trying to keep going. She was running at people, and I kind of like that about her. Even though she's got to work on her final ball. There's no doubt about that. Terry says I think Lauren James and Carter. Oh, where's it gone? I think Lauren James and Carter are only in the England team because of Salty Emma Hayes. Well, I would say they're only in the England team, or certainly just Carter, because they play for Chelsea. Not so much because of Emma Hayes. I think because they play for Chelsea, they're getting picked for England. Are they better players? They're certainly better players than Jess Carter. I don't really doubt about that. And Lauren, I do think Lauren James has got potential. I'm not going to write her off yet for England. I think she could be an important player going forward. But yeah, she needs to work on certain aspects of her game, of course. But she's a young player, so of course she needs to, don't she? I mean, Harry, I know you didn't care England lost because you're Dutch, and that's fair enough. But it was disappointing, wasn't it? The way England gave up that long, proud record in that such a tame way. I just didn't like that, really.
Yeah, I mean, it really surprised me. I didn't actually watch the game because I had other commitments, but I did watch Australia versus Scotland. I was over at Wimbledon for that one, and I thought, I mean, Scotland won. I thought Australia played okay. I thought they were decent at the back, but I a bit lackluster to me. I think Scotland deserved that, and I don't know enough about the Scottish team. I don't highly rate them as an overall team. I was really surprised that Australia beat us. And looking at the stats, it's even more surprising because I think just on the stats I'm reading, it was like England had like most of the possession, ridiculous number of shots, more shots on target. It just like on the stats, it just didn't seem right. But obviously there was something lacking in their fluidity. So yeah, I don't know. It's I think it seemed to me like looking at some of the highlights that I've seen and listening to sort of some of the reports that I've read, it seemed to me that Sarina was just trying out some of the players like Esme Morgan. Just seeing what's going to fit, what are the options out there for the World Cup, and if the reality is those options don't work, then it's great to have possession, but if you can't score the goals, and if the back line's a little bit lacking communication because Lia's not working so well with Esme or whatever it might be, well, now's the time to find out, right? You don't want to find that out on the quarterfinals.
No, you're right. Of course, it is just the time to do it. But then, to me, if that was the mindset of Sarina, and fair enough, yeah, she wants to try out other players. Why didn't she bring Lotta on at half time? Why didn't she bring Jordan Nobbs on to see what she could offer? Why didn't she? There were some players that just sat on the bench for the last two games. If she wants to try players out, fair enough. But then give everybody a chance. Then if she gave Esme Morgan, plenty of opportunities in that game in the first half. She clearly wasn't up to the standard that we needed. So give Lotta a try for 45 minutes. What harm would it have done? It might not have made any difference. It may have made things better. It may not have done, but at least it would have given Sarina an opportunity to see what Lotta's about in games like that. And she didn't do that. So, yeah, maybe that was part of it, but equally, she didn't carry that through all the way that she could have done. You know, I'd like to have seen Jordan Nobbs come on in the last 20 minutes. We needed a goal. Who knows? You know, she's been playing well for Aston Villa. She can create something. She can score goals. We know that's what she's about. Might have been worth giving her a chance, but no, again, she didn't even come on the pitch. So I don't know. I was a little bit confused by a few things that went on after what we've seen of Sarina since she's been as the manager. We've seen so many great things, and she's been so proactive in stuff. And she just didn't seem to. She seemed to be sitting on the bench. Didn't seem almost like she wasn't that interested and didn't care enough about that game. It's what it came across to me.
Maybe it was the weather.
Yeah, the weather wasn't great. Let's be honest, it wasn't. But you know, unfortunately, it's England, and that's what we have to put up with. So you've got to get used to it, really. But yeah, I don't know.
It gets worse there.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's going to be all right in Australia, isn't it? Even in sort of what's their window, it's still going to be a lot better than we normally get in the summer. But anyway, but yeah, it was just a little bit weird. The whole game was a bit strange, and it didn't quite. It wasn't the England team that we've been used to seeing. You know, it was nowhere near the England team that we've seen in the Euros, that we saw in the Arnold Clark Cup, or anything really. It was just a very strange England performance, but. Get it out of the way now, you're right. And hopefully, as we said before, lessons can be learned. And when it does matter in a quarterfinal of the World Cup, if it is Australia that we play, let's put it right and beat them. I mean, I must admit, I was surprised, you know, Scotland beat them. As you was at that game, as you said. And, you know, that's why I expected us to beat Australia, because I didn't see that game live. I saw bits and pieces of it. And I thought, yeah, they're not bad, but, you know, we're better than them. And I still think we are better than them when we're on our game. But, you know, in a one-off game, anyone can beat anyone, and that's what makes football so interesting, doesn't it? Because, you know, that could happen, and it could happen in the World Cup, but we need to be a lot better than that. And, you know, they marked Russo out of the game, didn't they? They didn't give her, every time she had the ball, there were 3 players around her. She didn't get a kick, did she, Alessia Russo? And yeah, they, you know, the same in midfield with Lia Walti. They basically just dominated her in midfield, didn't they? And yeah, it was really, really poor from England, but it's only a friendly. We don't really mind too much, but I was quite disappointed that we lost it in such a tame way. I'd like to have seen us go down fighting. If you're going to lose another 30-game unbeaten run, at least do it with a little bit more fight about you. At least look like you want to try to save the record. But anyway, it's done. We lost, and it's over with now.
Yeah, but you got to look at the benefits. We always got to look at the benefits. So we only had, and as Arsenal players, only Lia was playing. So she's going to maybe a little bit fatigue from that, but she had a bad game, which is really good because she's going to learn from it and want to come out fighting. Man United will play next, had Toon, Russo, Earps. Hopefully they're absolutely knackered by now, which will bode well for Wednesday.
Well, yeah, that's one way of looking at it.
Find the silver lining.
No, it could well be. I mean, I know. I mean, I love Alessia Russo, and I want her to join Arsenal at the end of the season. It'd be brilliant. But I wouldn't have minded if she just got a little minor injury in that game and maybe can't play on next Wednesday when we play her. That would be quite nice. If she couldn't play in that game, you can play all the other games. That's fine. But if you can't play on Wednesday, we don't really mind that much. A little
the
tweak
cruelty of our, compared to the last conversation we just had, the cruelty of us, how we change.
when it suits us, yeah, exactly. But no, I'm talking about just a little tiny little tweak or something, or just that keeps her out of like
toenail or something like that. Yeah,
something little minor that just can't play against Arsenal. That would be quite nice. But yeah, I mean, I suppose that's one we're looking at. The more Man United players used up more energy than our players did in that particular game. Although we've had players all over the place playing in these international games, which does seem crazy at this point in the season, as we mentioned before. But there you go. At least we got to see a little bit more of some of these players play for England, and hopefully when the decisions are made for the World Cup, some of those players maybe might not be there because of their performance, certainly the other night, and even the Brazil game, as we said before, the second half of that Brazil game was very, very poor as well, wasn't it? So maybe this was coming, and it's kind of out of the way, which is great. So that's that sort of done, really. So yeah, not a great week for the Lionesses in the end, and certainly not a great night for Leah Williamson. But she will be back stronger and better in the next game. We're confident of that because that's what she does. She's a natural leader, and you can see what a strong personality she is as well. And I think that she'll be fine. And I'm sure everyone will rally around her anyway and help her. But So yeah, now what we've got to do is look forward to a massive game. Well, a massive week, because let's face it, we've got Man United away on Wednesday. We've got Wolfsburg away next. Is it Saturday? Isn't it next Saturday? Isn't it the game? So it's just
Sunday.
incredible. Is it Sunday?
Sunday, next Sunday.
Oh, of course, yeah, it's Sunday. Of course, it is. Yeah, it's is it 2 o'clock?
Barcelona playing Saturday, and we are playing Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. Yeah, so so what a big week of games to look forward to. Two of the biggest games of the season coming one after the other, straight on the back of the Man City game, which was a big game, the Bayern Munich game before that, which was it seems like every game at the minute is massively important, which is so exciting to be a part of, is it, to be enjoying them. But it's really exciting coming up this week, so really looking forward to that on Wednesday night. That is going to be such a big game. And then we'll be back next Friday to look back on that game and look ahead to the Wolfsburg game. Are Wolfsburg playing this weekend, Andreas? So they got a game?
Yeah, it's semi-finals of the German Cup, and it's Bayern Munich versus Wolfsburg on tomorrow, Saturday. So Wolfsburg is missing Alex Popp after a small injury in the internationals. Then Marina Hegering. In defense, she was out injured. Don't know whether she will be back. Lena Latvain, another international player, is injured. It will be a tough match for Wolfsburg, and I hope that Bayern will win and go to the cup final. This would be a massive blow for Wolfsburg if they, after having lost in the league, then going out in the cup, then they would have enormous pressure for the Champions League. And they are also playing a league match on Wednesday, I think the same day as we are. So it's not easy for them, and they have it at home against us. So they will have the pressure. Everybody says they are the favorites. They can win the Champions League this season. Let's see.
Yeah, no, I mean, wow, they're playing Bayern Munich again. See, so if they were to lose at the weekend to Bayern Munich, they would, they'll be coming into the game against us with two recent defeats in big games, and I think that could be playing to our hands a little bit, because we've had some good results in the big games recently, haven't we? So we'll see how we got on Wednesday, obviously, but yeah, that's interesting that they got a big cup semi-final as well the week before we're playing them, plus a league game. So yeah, this goes to show, doesn't it? The games we were talking about before, the number of games that there is, it just goes to prove the point there, doesn't it? Number of massive big games there are. Is the injury to Pop, is it likely to keep her out of the semi-final or not?
They only said she will miss the Bayern game tomorrow, and the rest will depend how her rehab will develop, how her foot will react. They didn't say concrete. I think she will play against us and take this one game out. But she's very important for Wolfsburg. Even if she doesn't score, she's the leader of the team, and this would be massive if she can't play.
Well, I mean, we saw, didn't we, in the Euros final for Germany, when she didn't play, it did have an impact on that game. Yeah, we could have won anyway, but it certainly made it slightly easier for us to get that result. I remember when the team was announced and she wasn't, I'm thinking, what's going on here? Why is Pop not playing? And it was obviously a boost for us, wasn't it? And it would be a massive boost for Arsenal if she couldn't make the semi-final. As much as we don't want players to be injured, and we don't want them to be injured, but if they're playing against Arsenal and they want to be injured just for one game, then that's fine. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I expect her to play against us, to be honest with you. I'll be amazed if she doesn't. But we've got to be able to deal with the teams that we play with, all their players. It doesn't matter who plays for them. We've got to be able to deal with them, haven't we? We should be ready and prepared, and I'm sure we will be. But yeah, next Friday we'll be looking ahead to that big semi-final. That is going to be incredible. Harry, are you going to the Emirates leg of that one?
I am 100% going to the Emirates. Absolutely. Yeah. I've got my tickets. I really wanted to go to Wolfsburg for their leg, but it just wasn't going to work out.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good, wouldn't it? Let's be honest, that would have been amazing. I mean, I'm sure if we get to the final, I'm sure you'll go to your home nation, won't you, for the final?
We are planning on it. In fact, we're strongly considering just booking it anyway, because of course I'm a Jill fan, so just in case,
Well, yes, I suppose, yeah. I mean, we all love Jill, don't we? Let's be honest. But
what's not to like? It's
well, exactly. Yeah, it's just she did score against us last year. Maybe that's what's not to like. Perhaps we didn't like her for that particularly, but yeah, we do still love Jill. Which was good. Terry says there, I hope she's back against us. I don't want no excuses when we beat them. Well, yeah, it'll be a lot harder to beat them with her in the team, I'm sure. But I've got no doubt that we are capable of doing that. But we'll look into that next week. We need to see what our injury issues are, don't we? Who's going to be fit for us, let alone who's missing for, or who might not be missing for Wolfsburg. We need to worry about who's fit for us to play, first of all, don't we? Because we seem to be the walking wounded at the moment. But we're not doing too badly, are we, in the circumstances? So, whoever plays has stepped up and done a job. So let's hope that can still be the case in these next couple of games that are absolutely massive. What block are you in, Harry, at the Emirates then? Because it'd be nice to kind of meet. You in block 3?
Yeah, block 3. I think row 5. I'm pretty forward.
Well, yeah, I mean, I haven't got our tickets yet, but we're getting them from the supporters club, and I know they're in blocks 2 or 3, so I'll be in one of them 2 blocks. So probably be pretty close to you, which would be nice.
Yeah,
because you're in top level, aren't you, Andreas? You're kind of, poshing it up, aren't you, with your free drinks and that?
Yeah. I thought that I'll do this for this match. So club level, block 61.
Wow, that's going to be good. Matt, are you going as well?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be in block 5.
That's on the halfway line, isn't it? That'd be good.
Yeah.
Now block 5 is on the corner, isn't it?
Corner of North.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, it's on the corner of North Bank, isn't it?
Block 1 and 32 are right on the halfway line.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we won't be too far away from the halfway line, which would be pretty good. But yeah, so that's going to be good. Obviously, I think Amar's got his tickets as well. So I think we need to have another big meet up like we did in the Tottenham game at some point in the game, before the game, after the game.
Meet Tollington.
The Tottenham could be good. What time are you getting there? You're getting there early. I know Andreas will be there probably 2:00 in the afternoon. You like getting there early, don't you, Andreas?
I'll have to let you know. It depends on a couple of things. I'm convincing my wife to come along. I've got enough tickets to so she can, and then get a babysitter and then all sorts. And because it's too late for the kids, so we're going to make a turn into date night.
Well, why not? What better date night can you have than watching Arsenal in the Champions League semi-final at the Emirates? I mean, my missus is coming as well with me, so it'd be good. But yeah, we'll have to arrange a meet up and at the Emirates. That's going to be really good. Look forward to that again. That is going to be fantastic. So that is going to be a great night, isn't it? But of course, before that, NA's put on there Judas Jill. No, she's not a Judas. She was a little bit last season when she scored and she celebrated. I didn't really like that, but anyway, we let her off. But yeah, so we'll be back next Friday, of course, with the show as always. It's going to be great. It's been great to see Harry back with us for the first time in a while. So good to see you. Glad that you're well and looking forward to these good games coming up soon. Terry says there, Harry, you smooth operator. Exactly, that's what it's about, isn't it?
Thanks, Terry. Thanks.
Going to the Emirates is what it's about. It's been good to see you, Harry. Anyway, good for you to come back on the show again. As always, Andreas, of course. Have you enjoyed the show again?
Yeah, of course I did. And discussing everything is just fantastic. And yeah, thanks for having me in the show every week.
Oh, you're a massive part of it. We struggle when you've not been here a couple of weeks when you've been flying and stuff. We've kind of missed you. We've not been at Cope. And good to see Matt back again 2 weeks in a row, Matt. You're spoiling us now. What's going on? Come on.
Well, hopefully this is going to be a more regular thing, but essentially things haven't worked out with where I'm working at the moment. So they essentially I'll be back to regular patterns and things like that. So I might be able to come on a little bit more regularly, but it's a wait and see what opportunities arise, and hopefully I might be able to come on and speak to you all a lot more often.
Let's hope so, yeah, because as I said, we've missed you not being on the show. It's good to have you back. And of course, Harry, was it good to be back? You enjoyed yourself on the show?
I always like it. It's a lot of fun for me.
Good, and we like having you on as well. So some great things that you said as well tonight to help us along. We've got a comment there. It's good to catch most of the show this evening and hearing all your opinions. Cheers. Thank you very much, my friend, for watching as always. I will be back on Sunday. I'm not sure whether I'm going to be doing a watch along of the West Ham game or I might do something afterwards because I may be going to watch the Newcastle women play. They've got a big game. They could potentially win the league title and get promotion. They're playing Bradford at St James's Park, so on Sunday. So I might be going to that instead. In which case, I'll do a show after the West Ham game because I'll be at Newcastle watching. I haven't decided yet if we go, and we might go to that because that could be quite good. But otherwise, I'll definitely do something on Sunday. I'm on Talk TV on Sunday night as well at 7:00, as I have been the last couple of weeks talking about the Arsenal game as well. So if you're around, catch me on there as well. And then next week, obviously the big week, Wednesday night, we'll be here for the Man United game. That is going to be something really special. So join us for that. And of course, next Friday, we'll be back here with the guys to look back on the Man United game, look ahead to Wolfsburg, and hopefully an injury to Alexander Pop will be quite nice. If she's not playing, we would quite enjoy that just for one game or two games. So that has been great. Thank you very much to Andreas, as always, to Matt, of course, and to special guest Harry, who we found wandering around. I thought we'd keep him in the warm, get him out of the rain. We brought him in for a one night only, or hopefully it won't be one night only. Hopefully he'll be back very soon. But we will see you at the Emirates anyway in a couple of weeks' time, which we're all looking forward to. Terry says, great show again, Richard. International man and mystery, Andreas. Matt, you're so much better live. Of course he's better live. He definitely is. And he said, Harry, great to see you again on the show. Always welcome. And Marv, of course he's always welcome. We'll welcome anytime. So, yeah, we will see you next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, because your weekend can start now. So enjoy your weekend, whatever you're doing. Obviously, we'll be watching Arsenal on Sunday. Hopefully they can win and stay top of the league, which would be nice. And, of course, we'll be looking forward to Wednesday's game as well, which is going to be a lot of fun and very tense and exciting. So thanks very much for watching. Give us a like before you go. Thanks to Andreas, to Matt, and to Harry. Thanks for all you guys for watching. We will see you very, very soon, of course, as always. Come on, you Gunners. Let's do it. Let's do it. Speak soon, guys. Take it easy.
Bye.
Running there of Beth Mead. Beth Mead's in behind, plays it across. Caitlin Ford's going to score, and she has scored. This fast start has been rewarded for us.